Amigos, stop scrolling. You're about to learn a 3D flipbook move that'll have your highlights popping off the timeline. No 3D software, just After Effects. And if you're ready to go beyond the tutorials and level up your sports motion graphics game, then check out the Sports Masterclass. The link is below. Amigos, let's get started with this flipbook tutorial. This will be a mix of a step-by-step and a breakdown. I don't want to make this way too long, and that's the reason that I'm going to mix it up for you. But I definitely want to show you how to set it up. So let's get started. The very first step is to decide the size of your pages. And if I go to page 0, go to the comp settings. Let's actually click on it so we can see it. We'll go to the comp settings, Control K, Command K. I decided to make it 1000 by 1000 pixels. It's a 1-to-1 aspect ratio. Now you can make it any different aspect ratio. You can make it 4:5 if you want to make it portrait or vertical. I don't know if 9:16. You can make it 9:16 as well. That's just a little too long, I think. I think it works better if it's a 4:5, which will be 1080 by 1350. But in my case, I decided to stick to 1000 by 1000. And my main composition, your main composition, initially should be the same size of your pages. Once you set up this flipbook, then you can go to your main composition and you can readjust the width and the height. And obviously go in and add the pictures that you want to add or the video. And for this flipbook, I decided to use 10 pages. If you want to add more pages, just follow the same scheme that I'm going to show you when you're setting up the flipbook. Okay, let's create our main composition. Let's create a comp. Remember, it should be the same size, width, and height of your pages. We'll call this GFX Flip Book Class. And what we'll do is, let me go to page 0. Now, page 0 is the initial page when we're looking at the flipbook before it starts flipping. Let's activate the 3D switch to place it in 3D space. And let's go to page 1. Now, page 1 will be the actual first page that flips over. Let's hide page 0. Now for page 1, let's move the anchor point right to this edge. What you can do is you can hit Y on the keyboard to go to the pan behind tool. Make sure that you have snapping and you can move it. Or if you have one of those free tools like motion tools, you can go ahead and click on the square to move the anchor point. Now let's place this page in 3D space. And let's go ahead and add the back page. And I'm using this as a back page. As you saw from the example, I used a post-it note, a yellow post-it note for the flipbook. So that's the reason that I'm using this yellow color. It's up to you if you want to create just one generic back page for all your pages or create different back pages. So I leave that up to you. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you follow the same steps that I'm going to outline. So I'm going to bring in the back page and let's solo this for now. And what we'll do is let's activate the 3D switch to place it in 3D space. Go to the rotation tools, go to the Y rotation, and let's move the Y rotation, make it -180. Now let me move the anchor point here. So I'm going to go to motion tools, move it here, which is actually on this side, which is what we want. Now for the back page, this is important. We need to parent it to page 1. All right, what we'll do is let's unsolo the back page. Now remember the US Tennis Open graphic tutorial. We had a flip from Coco to Iga and we used an expression on the opacity that would hide a layer when it's not facing the camera. We need to add that expression again to these pages. So let's go to the website and here is that same expression for the opacity. We'll go to the opacity and we'll add that expression. Let's paste it in. Now, if we go to page 1, go to the rotation property. What I'll do is go to the camera tool, C for Charlie. Let's dolly back. and let's check it out. Let's go to the Y rotation for page 1. Once it's not facing the camera, perfect. We can see the back page. It's 100%, and page 1 is set to 0. So this is working properly. Now what I'll do is let me reset the default camera so we go back to the edge. Let's create a null object, and this null object, let's call it flip book control. Let's activate the 3D switch to place it in 3D space, and we want to move it right where we were moving the anchor point. But we're not going to move the anchor point. Instead, we're going to move the position. So let's go to the X value and we'll make it 0. Perfect. Now what we need to do is go to page 1 and let's parent it to the flip book control. And that's all you need to do. You don't have to do this for the back page because it's already linked to page 1. Now, if you go to page 1, go to the position property, you can see that now it's set to 0, 0, 0. If I unlink it, it's 500 in the y-axis, but once we parent it to the flipbook control, it sets it to 0, 0, 0, which will make it easier when we're setting this up. What I'll do is let's separate dimensions. And these two layers, let's change the color. Now I'm going to switch it to 2 views. And for this view will be our active camera. This view, switch it to the top view. So we're going to see the flip book from the top view, from a bird's eye view, looking straight down on the book. Let's increase this to maybe 1600. I'll move this. Let's move it. Actually, let's go back to 400. I'm sorry, let's go. This is the active camera. Let's make this fit up to 100. Top view, let's go to 400. There we go. We want to see the edge. And let's just zoom in. 800, 1600, perfect. What I'll do is go back, make sure that this is set to a different color. Go to page 0, let's unhide it. Now, page 0 and page 1, they're on top of each other. What we want to do is each page, we want to offset it 1 pixel in the X position and 1 pixel in the Z. So we'll make this 1 for the X and -1 for the Z. Now we don't have to do anything to the back page because it is parented to page 1. So now what we'll do is let's select page 1 and the back page, Control D, Command D to make a copy. Let's move it down in the layer stack. Let's change the color and we'll swap it with page 2. Alt or Option, click and hold and drag and swap it. Go to the position and we'll make this 2 for the X and -2 for the Z. Let's do it again. Control D, Command D, move it down in the layer stack. Go to page 2, swap it with page 3. Go to the position property. We'll make this 3 for the X, -3 for the Z. And let's change the color. And we're going to repeat this pattern for all of our pages. So what I'm going to do in this section, I'm going to speed it up. Now, once you're done, let's go to the pages. Let's select the pages, go to the position property, and just make sure that you have these exact values. Perfect, 6, 7, 8, and then let's go to page 9 and 10. And from the top view, you should have this pattern where each page is 1 pixel away from each other, and you're creating this diagonal line right here, this diagonal offset. Now let's start animating this. Now the trick is, let's go to the last page, page 10. And when we rotate this, we want to take the position of the first one. Page 9 will take the position of the second one. Page 8 will take the position of the third one, and so on. So let's go ahead and let's add those keyframes. And like I mentioned, if you have more than 10 pages, then just implement this same pattern. So we'll start with page 10. Make sure that your CTI is at the beginning at 0. Go to the position property and shift R for the rotation property as well. We'll set keyframes for the X and the Z position. We'll go to frame 12. And then what we'll do is right here at frame 12, we'll make the X -1 and the Z -1. So it's moving, and now we need to rotate it. So let's go ahead and add keyframes at 0. And then at frame 12, we'll make the Y rotation 180. So let's check it out. Let's go to the beginning and let's check it out. So it's rotating and it's moving to the spot of the first page. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Now let's go to page 9. Go to the position and the rotation. And let's add keyframes. And we'll add keyframes. Now, page 9 at frame 12 will take the position of page 2, which will be -2, -2, and the Y rotation will be 180. Let's go to page 8. Let's add keyframes. Let's add keyframes. And now page 8 will take the position of page 3. So we'll make this -3. We'll make this -3. This one will be -3. And then this one will be 180. And you're going to continue this pattern. You can see -1, -1, -2, -2, -3, -3. So the next one will be -4. The other one will be -5, and so on. So let me speed this section up. So once you're done, you should see all your pages now on the opposite side and the same pattern all in a diagonal line. It's just completely the opposite from what we had on the keyframes at the beginning. Now, if we play back, they're all moving at the same time. What we need to do now is two things. Number one is we want to reverse this. We want to actually start how we have it here. And then we want to start flipping them. So we'll select all the keyframes. Let's select all the keyframes. Let me just select these. Let's move it. Select all of them. And then we'll right click, keyframe assistant, time reverse keyframes. Now let's go to the start and let's check it out. Perfect. Now they're all switching spots. Now what we need to do is offset the keyframes. We'll start with page 1. Page 1 will be the first one. And then we'll go to page 2. And then we'll go to frame 6. We'll offset. Let me go to one view and then we'll go to the top. Then page 3 will be, let's see, page 2. I accidentally moved page 3. So let's undo and let's make sure that we're working with the right page. Okay, so at 6 frames, it'll be page 2. We'll slide it over. We'll go to frame 12, and this one will be the keyframes for page 3. We'll go to frame 18, and that will be the keyframes for page 4. At 1 second, we're going to move the keyframes for page 5. At 106, that'll be the keyframes for page 6. At 112, that will be the keyframes for page 7. At 118, the keyframes for page 8. At 2 seconds. Now, I'm choosing an offset of 6 frames. If you want this faster, you can make it maybe 3 frames, 4 frames, and even 2 frames. but I'm going to show you how it looks with an offset of 6 frames. So what we'll do is, let me select all of them and hit U so we can see them, see those keyframes, and this is what you should have. So let's go to the top view. Let's just make sure that this is working properly. All right, since I hit undo too many times, I have to do now is time reverse all of these. So let me go ahead and let me time reverse. Okay. Now let's zoom in. Let's zoom in and let's check it out. So we have page 1 will come in perfectly. You can see that each page is rotating. Again, this is a bird's eye view. We're seeing from the top view straight down. You can see that each page is rotating and it's going into its correct location. Perfect. If I zoom in even more, let's zoom in one more time so we can see it. So this is working perfectly. Now what you can do is add easy ease to all of these keyframes. F9 for easy ease. And let's go to active camera. Let's go ahead and zoom out and let's check it out. Let's go to the camera tool. Let's dolly back and let's check it out. There you go. So the flip is working. And if I rotate or orbit this, you can see that we're getting a true flip in 3D space, which is super cool. Now, what's going to help sell it is adding motion blur. So let's activate motion blur, and that's definitely going to help. Now, there's another effect that we can add. Let me disable motion blur for now, and let's give this some warp. So what we'll do is we'll go to page 1, we'll go to effect, we'll go to distort, and we'll add Bezier warp. And what we'll do is this value will make it 330, 660, 330. Okay, and let's go here. Now we're going to play with the top left tangent and the top right tangent. We can bend this, so we can give it a bend. We'll also play with the bottom right tangent. We can bend it maybe a little down, 1040, and the bottom left tangent. And we'll make this the same, 1040. So we can bend, we can give this a nice bend. Now we have to add this Bezier warp to all of our pages, including the back page. Let's say down the road we need to adjust these values. What we can do is this. Go to the flipbook control null object, go to effect, expression controls, and we'll go to point control. And then we'll call this top left bend. We'll go back, point control, we'll call this top right bend. Create another one. We'll call this bottom right bend. Create another one last one, and we'll call this bottom left bend. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll go to page 1, drill down to Bezier warp, and what we want to do is we're going to go to the top left, top right. But before we do that, let's check out the values that we have. Let's make these the same. So we'll make this -100, 330, -100, 660, -100. So let's set these values here. So the top left will be 330 -100. This one will be 660 -100. Let's set these values. And then for the bottom, 660, 1040, we'll make this 1040 as well. 660, 1040, 330, 1040. So let's set it 660, Let's go back. Let's see. 660, 1040. 1040, and this is the bottom left will be 330, 1040. All right, now let's connect it. So let's go to the Bezier warp. I'll go to the flipbook control. I'll make this big. Let's go ahead and see these values. So for the top left, let's right click, edit expression, and using the expression pick whip, this is the top left. Let's go to the top left bend. Let's go to the top right tangent, edit expression. This one will be the top right bend. The bottom right tangent, we'll connect it with the bottom right bend, and the bottom left tangent, let's connect it to the bottom left bend. Now it's all connected via this flipbook control. And now we can control this. We're exaggerating a little bit, but this is actually pretty cool. Let me just go ahead and let's leave it like this for now. Now, the beauty of this thing is we can go to page 1, go to that Bezier warp, copy this. You can go to edit copy, and we can go to all of our pages. Let's go to all of the pages, including the back page. Now, you can create one separately for the back page if you want. For the VFX example, I actually had a different bend for the back page. Now, we'll paste it in. Now, all the pages will have that Bezier warp, and it'll be all linked to this flipbook control, which is perfect. So now all the pages will have that bend, and we can actually do it to page 0 as well. Let's go to page 0. Let's paste it in. And obviously, as you flip this, you might have to change the bend as you flip the angle, but that should really help it out to make it a little more realistic, and along with a motion blur, definitely will help out. What I'll do is let's go to the flipbook control. Let's make this -100. Actually, let's make it -60 or -50, a little less. -50. 1020. 1020. Now you can add lights. So let's go ahead and add lights if you want. And I would start with a point light, the intensity maybe around 110, 100 or 110. And let's go to the position property. And what I'll do is I'll make this 540, 500. And then for the Z, let's make it -1500. And if we go to custom V1, you can see where the light is. Let's zoom back. This is where the light is. Maybe -1300, a little closer. That should help a little bit. You can see that it's being affected by the light. If you need a little more light, what I would do is add an ambient light and make it anywhere between 15, 20, 25%. We'll make this 20 for now, just to add a little bit. And what you can do as well is select all of your pages, hit AA to go to the material options, and then cast shadows on. Make sure they have accept shadows, accept lights on as well. And that will cast shadows and should give you a little more realistic. Should be a little more realistic because you have shadows and it's casting shadows on top of each other. And what you can also do is for this page 0, this first one, you can add a drop shadow if you want, especially if it's going to be sitting, if it's sitting on a surface. Let's check it out. So the cool thing about this rig, amigo, is that it is truly, if I change the, go here, if I change the angle, you can see that it's truly in 3D. And you can play around with the bend. Definitely you can play with the bend, and you can animate the bend so it looks more like it's really bending as it's flipping. You can see that. You can really move these values to just really give it that nice bend, especially if you're using an angle like this. That will really, this is a little exaggerated, but wanted to show you that it's possible. Instead of making it flat, which is pretty cool. Now, a couple things that I added in my original one is, in addition to this flipbook control, which pretty much what you can do is it'll allow you to control, you can control the rotation, and you see that we need to link it. We need to link the page 0 to the flipbook control. We can move the flipbook by itself. So instead of rotating cameras, you can also rotate this flipbook. Now, obviously, when we rotate in this direction, you're going to have to change the bend controls. So it works with the perspective. And one thing that I forgot to mention is the quality. We actually we should make it 10. So that's a modification that you should do before you add that to all your pages, or you're going to have to go to all your pages and change it. But definitely bump it up to 10. So it's nice and smooth bend. Page 1. Okay, now for the one that I did, I have the flipbook control, right? And I also added, if I go to the position property, I also added a wiggle control where I'm wiggling the X position. So as it's flipping, it's moving. There's some wiggle along the X value as it's flipping. So it's up to you if you want to add a wiggle. That's what I did, just to give it a little more realistic, just to make it a little more realistic, adding a little wiggle. I just added it to the X position. I also added a camera rig as well. And for this camera rig, for this example, I'm just pushing in at the same time. Just really pushing in. I can rotate it. And I added an adjustment layer. You should definitely add a little fast box blur to it, just because you don't want to make it super crisp. You want to blur it you don't want to make the edges really crisp. So what I do is I'll add a fast box blur or Gaussian blur, and just maybe 0.3, 0.2. A value between 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 really helps it out. And I also added some grain. And that really helps sell the effect a little more. So those are some effects that you should definitely add. Now for the VFX, let me just break it down to you what I did. And these, let me hide these layers for you. You see I have this grain, this adjustment layer is my grain. I added another adjustment layer to bring down the exposure for the background. So let me hide that layer for you. And all I did really was, here's my video, which I time remapped it. This is my video. And then I added a scale to it. There's this null object. You can see that it's linked to the scale. So it just scales from 100 to 125. And then I tracked this with Mocha. That's it. I just literally selected the 40,000. That was enough for Mocha to pick that up. And that tracking data, all I'm doing is adding the position, scale, and rotation. I brought in my flipbook. I brought it in. And what I did is, instead of using collapse transformation, which was my initial idea, so it's truly in 3D space, I decided to keep things a little simple, right? You can see that it's linked to the tracker because I want to track this to the tracker because the shot is moving. And instead of using collapse transformation to bring back all those layers in true 3D space, I decided to just leave it in 2D It does have that 3D motion because it's inside my flip book. But what I did was I used a corner pin to just readjust it. It's not perfectly aligned to the camera, so I needed to slightly adjust the perspective of it, and that's what I did. Just use a power pin. I had to keyframe it because it slipped a little. The perspective wasn't exactly on there. And if, let's see, there you go. So it's right there on top. Yeah, I just kept it. I didn't make it 3D, and I didn't use a collapse transformation because at this point just really wanted to execute quickly. Wanted to see if I can get away with just keeping it in, as a rasterized composition. It is 3D, but it's 3D inside my graphic flipbook 2. Inside here, it is truly in 3D. Here, if I go zoom in, this is truly 3D as it flips. But once I bring it into my VFX, you can see that this layer is simply a 2D layer. And that's what I did for this VFX. It's not 100% perfect. I could probably spend a little more time trying to match the lighting, the shadows, but I think for the purposes of this example, I just really wanted to show you how to set up the flipbook and just a quick breakdown if you want to add some VFX to it, what you can do. I'll leave this project file, including this VFX composition, available for you if you want to just see the effects that I used for this and how I pretty much just built it. You can see that not too many layers. And that is using this flipbook, amigos. Hopefully this will be useful. Flipbooks are always, I think in sports, you can always use this flipbook effect. And if you don't want to build it, no worries, it's already built. It's already all built for you. You can just simply use this and just swap it with these pages. You have up to 10 pages, including the very first page, which is the first page that you see right here. So you have 10 pages that you're flipping through. And yeah, you can just repurpose it for your own needs. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned a new technique somewhere in this tutorial. And remember that life is truly a gift. Make it count.